It's just a coffin.
Yeah, right. And the Earth is flat.
In a few moments, you will have an experience which will seem completely real. It can be extremely harmful and result in severe trauma. You have 5 seconds to terminate this tape. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.
I know how we're different. Do you believe the Earth is flat?
I know it's flat. I walk on it.
Holy
Do you think the Earth is flat, Snoop? What do you think?
It's a flat world after all.
Smoke weed every day.
It says no audio. No sound, muted.
Not
they
a
can hear me.
snowball's chance in hell.
Really? Am I muted?
Wait,
Mark
people are saying the
Snowball.
sound's
Holy
back.
crap! What's wrong with my
I don't hear Mark.
my snow? My snowball is not working. Holy smokes!
No sound on Mark. I'm
Oh,
What do
fine.
you think,
you're
Peanut?
unmuted
Should I
now.
redo
Okay,
that, or
fine.
should I tell me
You're
what
back.
happens when I use the Mark camera? If that just comes
Just
off,
Mark
that's
is
not
muted,
using
people
my.
are saying.
It is?
Oh, wait, somebody said Mark's good now. Yep, good now. You're good.
Ah, crap. That's a wonderful way to open. Well, now I'm coming probably through the camera
There's a
that's in
clicking
the
talk.
in the center of the screen, and I'll. All right, tell me if I'm still muted, guys. All right. Well, I'm probably not using the this microphone if that's the case. And what I'll do is I'll re-add sometime during the show. I'll re-add this microphone and I'll switch over. Peanut, tell me if we are getting if it sounds like I'm coming through the normal camera thing, which is fun. Anyway, let me finish up the monologue. Don't forget the show can be found on BitChute and Brody on Rockfin Rumble and Spotify. YouTube is not the end of Flat Earth. It is only the beginning. Quote of the day goes
And Mark
exactly
is delayed.
like part of a conversation Zulu and I had years ago. I asked,
Mike is shorting out.
would you help me hide a body? And he said, are you kidding? I have just the spot.
This
You
could
get
be
the
Zulu's
shovels.
way
I'm
of telling us
driving.
all hello.
Zulu
Mixing
had
with
your
the
back.
electronics.
You had nothing to worry about. Loud and crackling for me? Oh my God. Oh, that's just wonderful. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, guys. Just for this, I am going to play. I know. All right, so I am going to play my video. It's 6 minutes long, and while I'm doing that, Peanut, I'm going to remove my audio, Snowball, and re-add it. Right? And do I add? I've been doing content now for roughly 10 years, and Zulu was a part of it for at least 9 of them. I've never called him Mark because we shared the greatest name ever. It just worked out that way when we were in group calls. He liked the call sign Zuluone, so that's what we informally agreed upon years ago. I first heard Zulu's voice when we started taking calls for the podcast back in 2015. My co-host was Jonathan from Jersey, and one of the early calls was this baritone voice from New York named Mark Torado. If you know anything about the East Coast, you will know there is a long-standing rivalry between New Jersey and New York, and that first call seemed so abrasive I never thought Zulu would call again. But he did call back next week, and the week after that, and so on. In fact, he called almost every week for the next 9 years. And it didn't stop there. Zulu organized a behind-the-scenes after-show where hardcore listeners could hang out. He attended meetups, then organized meetups, and of course he went to every conference he could, and that's where I first met him in person. I'll give some backstory from the first conference, which was in 2017. All the FEU t-shirts that everyone's wearing here were custom made by Zulu. He was all in. In the Flat Earth Army, he was a career enlisted soldier. Zulu is behind my elbow. Patricia is below my hand. There's Karen when she wore glasses, Candy, Nathaniel, even David Weiss in the upper left corner. When I say custom shirt, I mean each person had their own. The backs of the shirts had their birth year. Zulu was born in 1967. He couldn't get enough of our community and would volunteer for anything and everything. This is he and I next to the Flat Earth billboard we did for the conference. Here he is with Carly Sunshine and Patricia in the distance. He was also a car guy and loved driving everywhere as fast as humanly possible. Legal had nothing to do with it. I had the pleasure on several occasions to drive in his SUV. It looked like a cop car, and he drove it so aggressively I told him on numerous occasions that he should have been a stunt driver. Most people were afraid to drive with him, but I just pretended we were filming a TV show about buddy cops. This is him with Jesse, Alex Lowry, who does the ending song for the podcast, and that David Weiss guy who I tried to edit out of the picture, but then it just made it look like Alex had a secret boyfriend, and well, I'm pretty sure he does. The last event Zulu attended was a comedy show in November by Jim Brewer. I had done Jim's podcast, and Zulu asked me to put in the good word so he could talk with him backstage. He wore his Flat Earth Fire Department hoodie, gave Jim some custom merch, and was still smiling about it days later. I'm so happy he got to do that. Dedication was an understatement with this guy. I talked with him almost every week for 9 years. His last podcast was episode 488. This is the restream on his channel. He's in the upper left, drumming away with the opening song. Here's a zoom in. He had a great, genuine smile and an even greater laugh. This frame was 7 minutes before he put the sticks down, closed his eyes, and simply went to sleep forever. Lucky son of a bitch. One day they'll probably find me in the shower covered in shampoo or by my mailbox underneath Amazon boxes, something awkward or ridiculous. Zulu died at his machine, still at the controls, streaming my podcast. How fair is that? This is my favorite pick of Zulu and I. It's the last night of the 2017 conference, just before the award show. I love this side of Zulu. Dressed up, drink in hand, hoping he would meet the ghost of Sinatra. That's where the end of the show evolved from. He would make sure he was the last call. I would pick up and sing the first few bars of New York, New York. I'm just going to read it because I can't sing it here without probably losing it. Zulu and I changed the words slightly. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. And then he would chime in with New York, New York. Then he would follow with In My Vagabond Shoes. They're longing to stray. And that's where he stopped, because even though he had a deep voice, he hated singing. After the call, he would hang on the phone for a few minutes while we wrapped up the show. Most weeks, he got the last line as I would simply tell him to say, "Good night, Zulu." Then he would briefly pause and say, "Good night, Zulu." It's funny. Then we rolled credits. If you ever want to rewind and find him, just go to the end of any show before 473, and there he is, stoking the fires. I'd like to think he's having drinks with a new group now, telling stories about us, and laughing until he cries. Okay. So just so you guys know,
Yes, of
so I
course.
could hold it together, I was not
Got us all
listening to
choked
any of
up.
that because I was the one that had to make it, and it
Make
sucked.
sure the sound is in.
So while I am killing
Is
my
everything
mic and
working?
putting it
We're
back
back
on,
on.
feel free, you two, if you've got anything to chime in with, because it's going to take me about 60 seconds, I think, to do this. Is that okay? Okay. Sorry. No, not yet. In fact, I don't even know why I'm talking to this microphone. This microphone is not working. I have to kill my camera. Peanut, don't I have to highlight it and blow it away in the... Oh, no, I have to kill it. I gotta kill the whole thing, don't I? I gotta kill this over here. One sec. David's probably gonna chime in with audio stuff.
Hello to Ice Queen
Mark.
Zulu in the chat.
That's a 20-second delay. Oh, that's wonderful. All right. Sorry, guys. I wanted to make this less awkward, but apparently the technical gods. This is Zulu and my computer messing around. All right. Have to add it again. What am I adding it from? All right. I'm going to blow away my camera and then add source. Give me a second. And we're going to say device. Snowball.
source.
It'll probably mean I have it's going to be a audio input capture. You is
Yes.
now up, I think. And all I have to
Audio
do
input
is
capture
mute
with
the
all
other
this.
one, which is camera.
There's a mic called Mark Screw You.
Yeah,
So
it is.
funny
It
if
is
Mark
now.
knows.
That's me. When I get when I
Nice.
get angry at the technical gods, that's what I do. Okay, you guys. I know it's going to take a couple seconds for it to come
All right.
in.
Is it good? Is it good?
I will adjust my
Let us
levels. Testing
know.
1, 2, 3. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Chat room, help me out. Patricia, what's that
we
thing you
doing?
say that you learned in finishing school?
Yeah, you sound good, Mark.
Do I?
I don't know. Exactly.
Yeah, you do. It's that.
Oh, abakada fagaha jakalamina pakwarasa tayawa gzahiyaza. It's just the sounds of the alphabet.
That is awesome. I have never heard that
It's
ever.
to help you pronounce things clearly.
It sounds like you're from that island where Wonder Woman comes from.
My sister and I used to do it in the grocery store to make people think, when we were young, that we spoke a foreign language. People probably thought we did.
Nice. Okay. Now that everything's back up,
Okay.
chat room is good. I've got a new microphone.
Everyone says you're 5 by 5, Mark.
Thank God. If
it's all A-okay.
If I over mic, let me know, please, because I'm looking at my levels and I don't want to hit the red. I'm bordering in the yellow, so I've turned it down to like 80%. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Peanut is on top of it. He is staring at me and he is saying what? What is Peanut saying? He's trying to say something. Okay. Just so you know, tonight, yes, he did. Exactly. We haven't had technical difficulties. Something that Peanut and I have had to deal with for years is you don't have it until the first show after somebody passes. Usually it's celebrities. And we would always have technical difficulties. And so we always said the ghost of whoever it was. So in this case, the ghost of Zuluone. For those of you, hopefully everybody in chat, just so you guys know, we're not going to run commercials. We're going to open up the phone lines early so everybody can call in. The phone number is not up on the screen. I'm sorry about that, but I'll rattle it off a few times. It's 848-222-2480. That's 848-222-2480. You two, could you post it in chat, please? The phone number, 848-222-2480. And I like to joke that there's nothing odd about that number because there are no odd numbers. See what I did there?
848-222-2480.
Yep. And we will see you guys pop up, and it's not like other things where we have a list. We'll see everybody show up on the list. If I get a chance, maybe I'll put it next to my name on the screen. But since we're not writing commercials, that's going to be kind of tough. We're also not going to run advertisements. I am going to announce the meetups really fast because there's some meetups that are coming up quick. Sorry, David, we're not going to do your the funny thing, and I'm not going to do Paige's thing tonight. And Stefan, if you're listening, Stefan Carpenter, the Deftones, just so you know, contact me because apparently people have been bugging me. My sister's manicure place, apparently they're already going to the show in Seattle. It's like, can we meet him? It's like, oh my God, maybe. It's like, we waited 3 hours in line last year so we could ride the bar. That's a thing, apparently. Front row, you're riding the bar. So yeah.
Never heard of it.
No. Yeah, I know. You're cool. You go to cool concerts and you're never in the front row. There's 3 meetups that I had to put up really quick. One's going to be in North Carolina, December 17th. That promo is on my channel. There's one that's going to be in Collegeville, Pennsylvania, December 21st. And the Flat Earth Social Group, which is usually in West UK, they have now spun off and they're doing a whole different group up in Wales. So Wales Flat Earth Social is now doing stuff once a month, or at least they're going to try. This is going to be their first month. That's going to be January 7th. All those are on my channel. The clip which I just ran, hopefully this wasn't a shock to anybody in the chat room. I think I got everybody that was emailing me, but I'll give you a quick recap of what happened because, again, this is the first show since Zulu passed away. So last week, for you guys who don't know how this all works out, usually what would happen for weeks and months and years is that Zulu would run a simulcast of this stream on his channel. So we would be in a smaller box on his channel. He'd be in the upper left-hand corner, and he have his own chat room, and everything was going fine. And then at about the 14-minute mark of our thing, which is very early, we had just barely introduced Lisbeth, our special guest. His screen went to the standby screen, which was he and I and NDB and David Weiss. And we thought nothing of it. I mean, you saw the technical difficulties I just had to deal with now, right? That happens all the time in the streaming world, and Zulu is no stranger to that. That happened to him constantly. But what was interesting was it never came back. And it was an odd screen to go to, meaning you could hear our audio. Our audio was coming through just fine, but it was the standby, it was the thumbnail that he was using as the main screen. And I was like, all right, well, Zulu's doing something, whatever it is. Didn't even occur to us that he had let's call it a medical emergency, either, heart or brain related. And it was very quick. And he just sat in his chair and passed away right then and there. And we had no idea, absolutely freaking no idea. It wasn't until the second segment of the show, way into the second segment, and we must have been at the 90-minute mark, that Peanut noticed that people were posting in the chat. It's like, oh yeah, Zulu's on the way to the hospital. It's like, what? You talking about it? And so, we had to jump over to his stream. And it's like, okay, well, we'll get updates. And the only reason we even knew that is that there was an off-duty 911 dispatch operator that was that listened to the show, and he just happened to catch some of the cross traffic, and he's like, hey, there's something happening here because Zulu's on the way to the hospital. It's like, oh wow, all right. So we close out the show. Patricia, first one to mention it in chat room, and we say, best wishes for Zulu. Not the first time, over the years, we've run into different people that have gone to hospital for different reasons. And then we closed out the show, and we hadn't even begun to like debrief or go into like the after show, not even close. And Peanut says, Zulu's passed away. It's like, wow, which means that he had passed away sometime earlier, and the hospital, if you guys don't know, again, part of the things I don't like about the system is they have to call it. It's not official until a doctor says, oh yeah, he's not coming back. And so that's why they logged him as passing away on December 4th. It was from my standpoint, it would have been 10 something on December 3rd. So we, so his stream kept going, just so you guys know officially what happened after that. His stream, because there was no one to turn it off, kept going for another hour. So after the show was over, he was broadcasting basically silence for another hour. And then YouTube kicked in. I think it has like an hour threshold to where if you're not broadcasting anything but just a blank thumbnail, it just kicked off. So it kicked off. And so we went, some of us went back. I think Patricia went back. I went back. David went back pretty quick. I don't know when you did, DJ, but I got a chance to watch, because it's like, okay, what happened? You don't know until you go to his stream and watch everything. And there was no weird signs of anything. He was just, doing his normal stuff. He was singing to his opening songs. He doesn't play our normal intro. He plays 2 music videos and he sings along with it. And then he drums along with us. And then he goes into it. And at the 7-minute mark, he had just turned himself off camera. I watched to the last second, and it was nothing special. He does that when he gets out of the chair for whatever reason, or if he's going to pick his nose, who knows. He turns off his camera. And then he turns it back on, but he didn't. 7 minutes later is when it went to the standby screen. And so, but unfortunately, you guys aren't going to be able to watch any of it. And thank God I took screenshots when I did the next morning when I was building some of his stuff, which was because part of his routine is running these really, really short Disney clips. I didn't even know he did that. I should probably watch some of his old stuff. That it doesn't hit the threshold of any sort of copyright issue. But since he ran 3 hours, those 45-second clips, or however long he had those add up. It's cumulative. So at one point, he must have reached the 3-minute or 4-minute threshold. And Disney stepped in 12 hours later and said, yep, stream's gone, and just knocked it off of YouTube, never to be seen again, unless we get access to the video itself. So that's basically the long and the short of it. It was really, really quick. The obituary came up a couple days later. I know some of us on the East Coast went to the service, and I heard it was nice. And he'll be missed terribly. And we were talking about this a little bit before the show, DJ and I and Peanut. The part that got me, I don't usually, things like that don't rattle me. Because it's just part of life. But what rattled me in this case was the sheer awesomeness of his exit from the stage, which was he was doing exactly what he wanted. He couldn't have picked a better setting. Tuesday night, streaming, just finished drumming, everything's great, couldn't have been happier. And then he just conked out, and that was it. He was gone. And again, I wanted to applaud. I was jealous. I hate to say that, but I was. It's like, you're not gonna find me, guys, going out like that. It's gonna be awkward as hell. They're gonna find me in a pretzel formation, upside down on my sit-up board, and the paramedics are gonna look and be, it looks painful. It's like, you want to go do lunch? Yeah, I could eat. And that'll be the extent of it. So I was happy and sad at the same time, and that's what got me. The nail breaks because you move it both ways. And I was like, holy smokes. And I didn't, sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I'll get this last part out, which was, it didn't hit me until I knew that he was still in the chair. That's the part that got me. It's like, and again, which is why I said in my thing, it's like, lucky son of a bitch. It's like, really? None of this drug out in a hospital bed, none of that stuff. Nope. And he and I talked about this over the years, because you guys don't know, and let me get this part out here, which is, because several people have mentioned, it's like, did he have any, health related issues? It's like, I'm going to be delicate here because I know certain people are listening, which is, he lived hard. He consumed life with great appetite. He ate a lot. I mean, that's why I included some of the shots. Look, he was big for a long time. He was way closer to 300 pounds than 200 pounds. When that shot with he and I in the suits, right? I was sitting at 235, 236. I think he was over pushing 280 at that point, right? He smoked, he drank, he loved life. And he was 57. And yes, he got healthy very recently, which is great, but that's no guarantee. It's not like you can, cheat certain things. It's like, your body's it's like, oh, no, you're not getting off that easy. So, he wasn't dying or anything, but he also, and Karen and those guys will have to help me out here. Can't remember how many years ago it was, maybe 4 years, where he went to the hospital and he was in trouble. But you never know, right? You don't know. He says, all sorts of doctors say, you could have died. And he said that several times, like, man, I was in trouble. I now take that thing that he did several years ago way more seriously, because if he was in trouble, then that would have carried over to this, to where I'm sure the doctor would have told him, it's like, yeah, you won't want this to happen again. So there you go. That's my little mini rant on Zulu. Yeah, he you heard the stuff in the beginning. He was by far the longest caller we had, where he called in every week, and I had to take stock of that at one point. So holy smokes, I talked to this guy every week for 9 years. It's like, I have most of my family I don't have that sort of communication with. I have cousins I haven't talked to twice a year, and I grew up with them and Zulu, especially with the after shows, and credit to Peanut for forcing me to go to the after shows early on. It's like, you really should attend these, and it's like, oh, really? Do I really have to attend these? And I go, and for those of you who don't know, there's some inner circles that after the show ends, we're there for several hours after the show ends, just talking about what stuff you basically cannot air. Sorry, no offense to Patricia and the Secret Show, but there's stuff we do. We have, and Zulu and I had conversation. It's like, oh yeah, there's no way we're ever recording this. Like, he's like, hell no, absolutely not. So, he was fun. And sorry, one more thing I want to throw out there. What I enjoyed about him, and I wasn't kidding when I said that he was probably the most aggressive driver I've ever been with, to where I had to pretend, just to tolerate driving with him, I had to pretend I was in an action movie where he was, that we were basically, there were cameras on us and he was a stunt driver. And I had to come up with dialogue to justify this, to be like, he'd be weaving in and out of traffic, just absolutely immune to law enforcement. And I'd be like, it's like, you're going to lose that tail or what? Right? And he'd be like, I'm working on it. You know, and we come up with this fun little dialogue, and he really got a kick out of it, and it was awesome. He was one of those guys where we were lucky, and I'm sorry, again, the phone lines, we will open this up very, very soon, which is we were lucky to have him in that he was so East Coast, he could have been all sorts of things. I'm sorry, let me kill the, get this off the screen. Get back to the thumbnail. He was so East Coast. He could have been anything, right? You know, he was obviously tied to the fire department. He could have been a cop. He could have been a longshoreman. He could have been a Teamster. Heck, he could have worked for the mob, and he would have fit in perfectly, right? He was that sort of. He had that sort of presence about him, to where it's like, Zulu, you gotta go down and take care of that thing, right? It's like, and Zulu would organize it. He'd be like, okay, Big Mike, Jimmy the Knife, Tony two times. It's like, get the shovels, right? And he'd drive, and he'd be like one of the lieutenants, and he absolutely could have been in an organized crime, and instead, no, he was one of the biggest cheerleaders for Flat Earth that I ever saw. So there you go. What about you guys?
Well, I heard in the chat that there's going to be a meetup of next year, I guess, in 2025, for Zulu One.
Nice.
And Atlantic City, that's where it's going to be.
Cool. I am working on a just so you guys know, one of the people that's interviewed me a couple times just recently, I haven't told anybody this, reached out, and they want to take over, they want to do our 2025 conference. And not only that, but they want to do it. They said, look, we've done conferences down at, and I'll just give away the location right now, at Piedmont University in Georgia. And they said, they said, I think that'd be a wonderful venue. They listed all the stuff up, and I said, wow, it's really cool. I'll start pitching it to people, after Christmas. And I said, I will definitely do a thing for Zulu there, and dedicate everything I do to him. So
he really respected and admired you, Mark. I mean, I think one of the highlights of his week was him doing, the simulcast of your show. And he wasn't simulcasting, I don't think, anybody else's show, as far as I know.
No.
And he did it, he did it with joy and excitement every time he did it, making those, fun figures, using photographs of various Flat Earth people, always you, of course, using your head on somebody else's body, something topical, something funny.
Yeah.
And drumming there along with you, that is just, it's beautiful, actually.
Yeah.
He really did die doing one of the things that he loved the most. And of course, loving his family is one thing, but when it comes to a friend group,
yeah,
it was Flat Earthers, and you especially, Mark.
Thank you. He was
well said.
Sorry, go ahead, DJ.
No, well said. I mean, obviously, I didn't know him like you guys did, but I could tell that he loved you, and he loved Flat Earth, and he loved the people in the chat, and he loved the show, and he was just a familiar voice that I got to know just when I was a listener, sitting here in my couch, not able to talk Flat Earth, and just knowing that I could always count on Strange World to hit certain talking points for myself, and hearing Zulu at the end. And when I was finally worked up the nerve to call in, he never shied away from expressing how he felt about somebody when they had called in and touched his heart, and he did that all the time. That was a very loving attribute that I admired about him, and every time I got a shout out from him, it just gave me that extra strength the next day, that I was like, it's going to be okay, and I'm not alone, and I just really appreciated Zulu in that way. And I it's like we lost a Flat Earth friend, Flat Earth family member, and I think what you said was beautiful, and Patricia hit the nail on the head, that he loved you as a human, and I just, there's not much I could say besides what I've said, and I can't wait to hear the callers to please call in and pay tribute, and great job on the video, Mark.
Thank you.
We all felt the emotion in your voice, and we know that you're such a professional. I know it's really hard.
Yeah, I did not enjoy making that video, and that is one of the few videos that most of the time you get through them pretty fast, and I've done several thousand over the years. This one was, it was not good. I knew immediately that I had made a mistake because it was only less than 48 hours later, and as I was writing the script, I was going, this might not go as smoothly as the 60-second one. The 60-second one, it was just speed. And it's like, I can knock that out. But those last few seconds of even that one, I'm just going, can I do a longer one? Yeah, it was not easy. So.
Well, we felt it, and our
Yes.
heart goes out to the family, and we just, Zulu is very loved in this community. I don't know if they're flat earthers or not, but it's just kind of so crazy. And it is ironic that he would go out the way that he did with that smirk after drumming with you. I just love that picture that you posted, and the way that you brought that to our attention.
Yeah.
And just Zulu, I believe, DJ Curious is no stranger to thinking that as much as it's important to process our emotions and grieve, and that we can't rush that, I do have hope that he's going to have the last laugh when you guys are reunited, and he'd be like, how'd you like that exit?
Oh, no, it was perfect. Again, I've never in my life seen such a perfect setting for that. Absolutely. And again, because there wasn't anything weird about it. And again, the trolls that are out there, it's like, was it on camera? It's like, no, it wasn't on camera. That's the beauty of it. It was 7 minutes before it even happened. Like,
no suffering, pain, just good night.
If you believe in a higher power, and I do, and that that was a God thing, which was, oh no, this is going to be classy. And we're going to erase all the record of it on top of it. By the time everybody got up the next morning, it's like, oh, there's nothing.
And of all things, Disney, which is something that most of us flat earthers know about the whole Disney thing, and how Disney creates a lot of bad things.
Of course, it was Disney. I can't even think of a better corporation to knock it off the thing. It's like, do you even know what you're hitting? No.
Wow. It was a mic drop, and obviously for his family, it's probably way too soon than what they were expecting, and that's the shocking part for all of us. I do agree, and sometimes these things don't make sense.
Right.
And but definitely with Flat Earth helps us have hope that this is just one chapter of what it means to be a human, and so much to look forward to. And I do believe in being reunited. So.
Yep. Me too.
And 6 flat earthers, according to the chat, made it to Zulu's wake. Somebody drove 2.5 hours to get there.
Yeah.
And Lowry shared with on the Tinfoil Sombrero, he shared that it was beautiful, and that you could tell that Zulu had, I don't know if it was necessarily a double life, but it maybe not everybody at the wake knew about his flat earth side. And then they had the flat earth gang that was obviously a huge part of his life, and just kind of the merging of the two worlds, because that's, for a lot of us that are in flat earth, we can feel so alone, and we have to keep things separate. But that's what's so great about, and why he loved this show and everyone here, was because it was a piece of the truth that gave him life.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, the phone line, just so you guys know, is 848-222-2480. That's 848-222-2480. And of course, the first person on the list, I'm not even picking down the list, is Jan from Dallas. And we're going to pick her up right now. Jan, how are you?
Well, Martina, I called in to listen.
Oh.
And I did not know.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No one.
And I love.
Go ahead.
No. I'm going to be a bit breathless, and he connected me with Chad from East Mississippi, and he sent me that flat Earth keychain. And as you know, Mark, because of my accident, the fact that I could put that on my keychain in like 2 seconds, and then he sent me that lovely flat Earth necklace for a woman. And I know he had a son, right?
Yeah.
And I just didn't know. And your tribute to him was beautiful. You know how much I love you, Mark. And for some of us that were there in the very beginning. And so we were there to hear his first call also, Zuluone. And I love him very much. And I don't know, Mark, thank you for handling things so beautifully. And he produced the whole thing, didn't he? He absolutely produced exactly from that chair.
Yeah.
So if you could maybe put me back on a hold again.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
So good to hear her voice.
She has a beautiful voice.
It's the most soothing voice I've
Yep.
seen.
That was a mistake picking up that call. Okay.
All right, so 848-222-2480. Is that correct?
Yep. Let's try to go down the list, and I'm just going to go in order. Lord knows what curveballs God's going to throw at me tonight. Let's try 718. 718, you're on. What's happening?
Good evening, guys. First of all, I'd just like to offer my condolences at the loss of your friend to the Flat Earth family, and also I'd like to offer my condolences to Zulu's family. I literally just found out about this about 2 hours ago, and here's what's so weird about the whole situation. I haven't listened to this show for weeks and weeks and weeks. And because of the three-ring circus, which, we're about to embark upon with everything that's happened in New York, with the adjuster and so forth, I thought, well, let me, listen to the show and see what the gang's got to say about it. And especially Zuluone. I know he's going to have a whole spiel about it because obviously he's in New York, right? And then I find out that he's no longer with us. And literally my legs turned to jelly. It's so weird. And then he died the day before the assassin did his thing to the CEO. And I feel cheated that I won't hear his take on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people want to call in, and I just want to try and fit in as much as possible. Kudos to you, Zulu, for the most badass exit ever. Really. Seriously, it couldn't be more Zulu. I'm sorry it had to be so premature, obviously. But if you have to go doing something that you love, right?
Yep.
Also, I know Zulu would dispute this, but I literally was around for his very first call 8 or 9 years ago, and he disputed it when I brought it up. But I remember his first phone call so vividly. And I thought, whoa, that's a hard-living man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, he lived his life. And I'm glad he did that. He lived his life to the fullest. And he had people who loved him. He was very interesting to listen to. He always had, interesting insights. Even though I didn't always agree with them, he was always interesting to listen to. And it's weird that he will no longer anchor the show. It's like, how can it even be Strange World without Zulu at the end?
Yeah.
And it's very, very, very strange. And again, now he knows all the answers, doesn't he, in the other round?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, the other thing he knows. Yeah.
To everyone who loves Zulu, friends, family, etc. And hi, Jan. I could hear the pain in her voice. And I guess that's it.
All right.
I'll let others speak now.
All right. Well, thank you. And we'll probably talk again soon, okay?
All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We're going to go out to 505 in New Mexico. What's happening out there?
New York. Vagabond shoes.
Yep.
Oh, Mark, Patricia, DJ. Wow, I'm really shocked. I'm just hearing it too. And what can I say? I first remember Zulu as actually Mark from New York before he was using that Zulu. I think that was like really early on.
Yep.
And one of my earliest memories was when you guys were, Mark, when you were planning on going to the 2017 eclipse. I know I think he was trying to get there too. And then he actually ended up with in the hospital for a brief illness. And I felt so bad for him not being able to get there, but he had just a really great attitude. And I was tuning in just to check on, where he was at, if he was okay. And, he just had that way about him. And I did personally get to meet him once, really briefly, 2018 Denver. And I was at the Billboard meetup, and I kept asking, I knew who you were, and I got to meet you and Patricia, but I didn't know what he looked like. And so I kept asking, people, hey, where's Mark from New York? And people kept, there he is over there. And so I got to meet him outside the hotel the next day, and, we started singing that song together, and he was just so happy and genuine and excited, just loving life, loving where he was at. And I'll just never forget that. Yeah. And the encouragement that he gave me to actually call up and possibly participate, I'll just, wow. And I just love how that familiar voice, just like you're a familiar voice, and it was always there. And I just love the feedback of how we interacted, even though we didn't get to talk directly. We'd leave messages for each other through you, Mark. And that I just thank you for that. Yeah. So thank you for introducing us all to Zuluone. Yeah. And wow. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And I'll just let everybody else get on. And thank you, Mark. Thanks, Patricia and DJ. And I miss you guys. And yeah, it's good to talk to you guys again. And wow, isn't it great to hear from Jan, and of course that wonderful woman from New York. Yeah. And shout out to both of them, you, Patricia, and DJ, and of course, Matt and Temple. All right. God bless you all. And shout out to Zulu's family as well. Yeah. And of course, Zulu. All right. Keep it flat.
Thanks, man.
Love you guys.
Yeah. Yep. I wanted to mention, because he was saying that Zulu had a very familiar voice. One of my early memories was, when I got a chance to meet him for the first time at the 2017 conference in Raleigh, along with Patricia, and Patricia met him for the first time out there as well. And it was such a cool moment when he walked up to the microphone to ask a question, because he's got a very unique voice. It's deep. And again, he sounds like a freaking mobster, if you didn't know any better. And he gets to the phone and he starts talking, and people that were, kind of, their interest just peaked. People that were staring forward at the screen, all of a sudden it's like, who's at the microphone right now? They knew who he was, and there was some claps and cheers, and Zulu didn't understand at first, and because he didn't know, which was interesting. We forced him to sing, the whole Frank Sinatra thing, and I'm going to, before we close the show out later, I will give you guys some trivia on that. But we forced him to sing. He hated singing. He had the fantastic voice. He could have absolutely done radio in a different life, but he hated singing. Hated it. He could barely eke out one verse, in the song. So anyway. Let's see. All right, we got Jerome.
848-222-2480 then.
There you go.
For anyone who wants to call in, although you'll have to wait.
Jerome, you have called twice. You're in here twice. So again, guys, don't put us on hold and then call from a separate line. So I'm going to pick you up, but if I
respect that workaround.
There you go. So he's on the board twice. All right, Jerome, what's happening? You can kill the other call, by the way. Jerome. Oh, for the love of God. All right, I'm going to pick up the other one. Jerome, are you on this line?
There we go.
Hey.
Yeah, I called in earlier. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Earlier tonight when I called in, you were dead in the conference center.
Oh, okay.
So I had to redial.
Okay.
So, yeah, shout out to Zulu and his fam. Tony called me the next morning and almost dropped my damn phone.
Yeah.
and it's sad. It really is. I'm gonna miss him. I don't even know him like that. I was on his show a couple weeks after the conference. I went on for a couple hours, chatted with him for a while. He's a real cool dude, man. I like him. Well, I like him.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna miss him, man.
Yep.
I'm gonna miss him. He was telling me about the conference he has in Jersey. I said, yeah, I'll be down there. And he did this to me.
Jerome? Uh-oh. I lost him. Jerome? Well, we may have to pick him back up.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
back.
don't drop off like that, man. You worried me.
We're all on edge.
I know.
Yeah, we're all on edge. But I'm gonna let somebody else get on. Shout out to Jan. Shout out to Zulu Spam. And y'all have a nice evening.
All right.
You need to start doing more calling shows, Mark.
We will. We will.
All right.
Good to
Y'all
hear
have
your
a nice
voice,
evening.
Jerome.
See you, Jerome. You met Jerome in Vegas, didn't you? DJ.
I got to meet him in Vegas, and he was with us in South Carolina.
Right on. Oh, awesome. That's great. The I've got, I'm thinking of more little stories about Zulu. The only time, we only got in an argument once in 9 years. I challenged marriages out there to do the same.
On air?
No, it was at a conference, and Karen and I and Brian Stavely and Zulu were staying in this Airbnb together, right?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And one of the bodyguards from the older, Patricia probably remembers, maybe you don't. Remember we had those older bodyguards at the Raleigh conference, the tall elderly men?
Oh, I remember,
in
yes.
suits. Like veteran bodyguards, right? And I think they could have actually held their own.
Oh, yeah.
They tracked us down for one of Karen's conferences last minute and called me and said, hey, we're going to pick you up. We've already got Rob Skiba in the van, and we're going to go to dinner. And what you didn't know was that Zulu liked a good steakhouse. And because of that, every conference that we did, of course, he liked a good steakhouse, right? He's like, okay, this year I'm buying, next year you're buying. We're just going to keep alternating. And that was going to be the night he and I were going to go to dinner. But this guy says, oh, we're 5 minutes from your driveway. Zulu wasn't home yet. He was out doing whatever. I didn't know when Zulu was going to get back. And they said, van, we're here, come in. And so, I jump in the back of the van. There's Rob Skiba. And he goes, never let him take you to a second location. I go, I know, we're going to die, right? And we ended up going to this nice steakhouse, and I had dinner with these guys and Rob Skiba. One of the few times I got a chance to sit with Rob alone. And when I got back, Zulu was so angry. It's like, you went to dinner without me? You didn't tell. I go, dude, I had no idea where you were. We smoothed it out, but my God, he was upset. And that's when I was like, wow, we're almost dating. In some ways, because I don't get this sort of reaction from other people. It's like, oh yeah, it's cool. And again, it didn't matter that it was Rob Skiba. Again, remember that Rob has throngs of people that were always wanting to talk to him, and it was one of the few times. Again, it was flattering that the security guys wanted to have dinner with just the two of us, but at the same time, I felt it was the only time I really felt guilty with Zulu. I was like, oh come on, man, you're killing me. So I bought him some flowers, He
was looking forward to that, but that's so.
I know.
But you don't assume so much. But he obviously
that's his heart on all sides. The man had heart. I mean, he would do anything for anyone. Again, he was. When I said during the video thing that I did that he was all in, that I couldn't have understated that. He was all in. Who brings severely customized T-shirts to the first conference individually for people, right? I had this made for you. It's like, no, it was like, no, it made for the group. No, for you. It's just for you. It's like, what?
Aww. I know. I loved hearing his voice at the end too. It just was a familiar. It's like he had so much soul. He should have been a character actor.
He should have been.
He was the first person that I saw when I came into the hotel in Raleigh, North Carolina for the first conference. The first person. He was right near the area where you check in. And he, of course I'd never met him before, but he knew me by sight. And we hugged. And it was like a big bear hug, super warm with that big, deep voice. And he was just the nicest guy.
Yeah. And Peanut points out that he goes, how many times did he co-host on the show when you couldn't? Now, it was rare. Every once in a while when I was traveling, someone had to help co-host the show. Zulu was like raised, he was the guy in class. It's like, oh, can I co-host? Can I host? And he'd jump on. Sorry, one more thing, and we'll pick up the next call, and it's going to be Ronald from H-Town. And I almost guarantee he didn't find out till tonight, which was that shot where he and I are standing in suits, right? Patricia gets this, which is Patricia and I were dressed up for the awards show, right? Because we were on stage doing the awards. He just dressed up because he was attending the awards show.
That was so awesome.
He had nothing to do with it. And it's like, oh no, he was getting into character. Like you said, he's like, oh no, this is hair and makeup. Oh no, I'm in. Drink in hand.
It was just so like, yeah, you did it right.
Yeah, it's like nobody else dressed up, but he didn't. He didn't care. It's like, oh no, this is an award show. This is a formal thing. I'm being formal.
And was that the picture you said is your favorite of you two?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I came down, it was the first time I had worn the glasses. They had hooked up the electric bow tie on me, and I'm coming down the stairs. That's where they did the movie promo shot, was in the elevator. And I'm coming down the stairs, and he was like pretty much an empty lobby because everybody was in the auditorium, and he's there waiting for me with a drink in hand, wearing a full-blown suit. I'm going, what?
Which made him even look more like he was in the mafia.
Absolutely. And again, that was the first weekend we had ever met. Again, yeah, of course, we were talking on the phone for a year and a half or longer, more than that. Anyway, sorry, last story before I pick up Ronald, which was, I can't understate. You guys could find it if you want. I can't remember. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember what episode it was. Could have been like 18 or something like that. Go to Strange World 18, where the first co-host I had was Jonathan from Jersey. And it was audio only, it wasn't video. And Jonathan actually had a nice voice, but the abrasiveness between those two, it's like these guys are going to come to blows. It's like, I'm glad you live on the East Coast because I don't want him coming out to Colorado. He sounded like an angry mobster by the end of that call. I was going, this guy's never going to call back. Boy, was I wrong. Not only call back, he just couldn't get enough of it. It was just so much fun for him. And he met so many great people. Okay, let's pick up 848-222-2480, as Patricia says. Let's pick up Ronald from H-Town. 281, you are on. Did you know beforehand, or you just know tonight?
Nah, I knew when you would drop that video, man, and I seen that on my break, man. Broke down like a little old bitch. But, man, this one for you, Zulu. Man, just give me a minute, man. I made an acronym for the homie, man. ZULU, Zulu. We got the Z for zealous, showing great energy or enthusiasm in pursuit of a cause or objective. We got the U. We got the U for unbarred, not restricted or confined, indicating freedom and openness. Then we got the L for laudable, worthy, admired, deserving praise. Then we got the U for undaunted, not intimidated or discouraged by difficulty, danger, or disappointment. That's the acronym for Zulu. So, man, this one's for you, Zulu. I got the FE Zulu flow. So give me a second, Sargent, Patricia, Steere, while I run through this. This one for you, homie. Straight up. Call an ambulance. I'm gonna wreck the motherfucking mic. 7-8 years ago, we met talking guns, archer, and FE. So our spirits stuck together like flour and water, them critics could see. You carried yourself like a king, like the ones in Rome. Now the father said you graduated this school/Truman Show and had to call you home. Born in 67, straight baby boomer. You schooled these younger generations brutally, keeping your sense of humor. I always wanted to be boy, so when I first heard yours, I would hate. Homie, your voice so motherfucking deep, you spoke. Homie, your motherfucking voice so deep, you spoke, and the motherfucking floors and furniture would vibrate. You spoke with passion, very direct, but yet cool, mellow with class. The misunderstood would misunderstand, but you never gave a frog's fat ass. You stayed mute. You stayed mute among the lames and mainstream. They said you were not trendy. But then you told them you wasn't antisocial, just not user-friendly. Your tree bears healthy fruit. I eat with my hands, spoon and fork. Your spirit forever lives, Mr. Zulu from New York. Mark told me, you told me, and I knew it was serious. They used to drive like you was on the Autobahn on a set of Fast and Furious. Give me a second. Your tree bears healthy fruit, and I eat with my hand, spoon, and fork. Your spirit lives forever. Oh, yeah, I said that one. The Father has you up there at the pearly gates doing security because he knew you was spitting worldly truths before most of these motherfuckers experienced puberty. I wish I could have hung out. Wish you could have hit my city. We would have enjoyed the time, and I'd have had you high as eagle titties. I was down and out when I heard of your departure because we never met. I was sad. But the man upstairs said, yes, you did. Y'all met regularly on every Tuesday. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. My bad. You touch souls, spread love, touch many, distributed knowledge. You touch souls, spread love, and touch many, distributed knowledge, and never asked for a penny. You faithfully entertained Strange World and then hosted Google Meets. So me, Mark Sarge, Karen Beasy, Patricia Steere, and several others in the Flat Earth clique gonna hold ground like we wearing cleats. Zulu, you was cooler than a polar bear sipping a milkshake on the alleged South Pole. So I know you up there, chest bumping with angels, cause Yahweh via Yahshua obtained your soul. And that's it. I'm not dropping the mic. I'm flushing that motherfucker down the toilet, down the commode, and I left the upper decker.
Nice.
And I left the upper decker. Rest easy, homie. Oh, here go one that I missed. Oh yeah, I got that. Let me see. Let me make sure I ain't. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Love you, Zulu man. Straight up. Love you, man, for real. And I'm gonna end with one quote that I know he would probably laugh about. And this ain't got nothing to do with anything. This is really for my little kinfolk over sitting next to me, youngster, thinks he's a ladies' man. I'm like, look, dude, you do not have to lie to women. If they like you enough, they'll lie to themselves. And I'm out like the Biden-Harris administration. Peace.
Right on, man. Thank you very much.
That was great. And a couple people in chat said you need to publish that poem.
Yeah. Write that down. Give me the lyrics. Send the lyrics to me in an email if you can, Ronald. That's awesome.
msargent23 at comcast.net.
Yes. All right. Let's go to Just Jack in the Carolinas. What's happening, Just Jack?
Jack. What's going on?
Well, kind of thinking about Zulu, all the fun stuff that he's done.
Yeah, I was there at the end of the show and heard about what happened, and I'm not a guy who mourns much for anybody. I mean, I didn't even mourn my parents as much as I did with Zulu because you just get used to a pattern,
Yeah.
And when you did your video, it made me think about like this thing that's been going on for years that we've had. I remember like going onto the video chat after Strange World and him snoring and falling asleep. You know,
all the time.
Fun stuff like that. Yeah. Hanging out on Myrtle Beach with him and meeting him at the conferences and stuff. And I just, it's hard to believe that Zulu's not going to be a part of that anymore. And yeah, give us peace.
Yep.
But I thank you for doing what you do, Mark. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how my voice sounds right now. I sound horrible.
That's
but
okay.
I was out working in the rain, and then I'm crying on top of it, so it's really bad. But you know, I remember many times of us both calling in together, and one of my first interviews was with him. I encourage, if anybody wants to watch it, just go to my channel, Just Jack Flat Earth, and watch interviews and watch the one with me and Zulu just chatting about scripture and stuff. But he's going to be missed, and I thank you, Mark, for keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah.
And shout out to DJ and Patricia and Karen and Lowry and all the old school people. I see people in here I haven't seen in a minute because they must have heard about Zulu and come in here, and you know, all the old crew. Shout out to Dottie's World. I just saw her in there, and Shanna, I just saw her in there. It's just like the memories keep flooding back.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see where this goes, because it used to be a very strange thing to walk up to somebody and talk about flat Earth. They look at you like you have three eyes, and now it's like, oh yeah, I heard about that. Like it's getting out there, so don't stop talking. Be bold like Zulu was, you know, like I try to be. The more that we, you know, stop hiding about the information, the more it's going to get out there, and the less the controllers will have control. So I love you all. Appreciate what you do, and keep it up, man.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Have a good night.
All right, bye. You too. Bye.
I think he had something stuck in his throat there. Probably dust or something.
You know, there are so many people that are in the chat that we haven't seen for a while. Like he mentioned, Dottie's World. I just see Ginger Sugarbush in here. There's just a lot of people that haven't been in chats for a while, and you know, Zulu's brought everybody together.
And again, my apologies for the people that had to find out for the first time tonight, because again, that's why I tried to release the videos as fast as I can. You know, I did the short one as fast as I could the next morning, and then the one that was more difficult to do the day after that. I was hoping that the word would get around, and I took a lot of phone calls and I took a lot of emails. You know, is there people that, you know, like for example, if anybody knows how to reach out to, I almost guarantee she doesn't know yet, which would be Effie Mishka. You know, Michelle Getz she was from the 2017 conference, and part of his inner circle. So I don't think she knows. All right, let's pick up. I think this is Dottie, actually. Speaking of Dottie.
Good. Oh, Dottie just said in the chat that Mishka does know.
Oh, she does know? Good.
Good.
And
there's a crying face there.
Wonderful. So. Dottie, are you there?
Hi.
Hi, Dottie.
Hi, Dottie.
Hi. So, yes, obviously I heard the horrible news last week. Very, very shocking. I still really can't believe it. Especially like when my granny passed away, she was getting sick and she was 86, and we kind of expected it to, but when someone just is here one day and then they're just not, it really leaves a different gap. And I know that Zulu would be beyond humbled by the amount of love that everyone has for him. And I also know that he wouldn't want us to just stay sad. He would want us to celebrate the fact that he lived and that he touched so many lives. And to have a quick story about something that is just Zulu to his core, and I'll never forget it. It was a few years ago at a Flattoberfest. So most of the people were staying in this hotel, and there was a go-kart racing track across the street. So me and Zulu and a handful of other people, we were going to go racing. And so the guy at the counter, he's ringing us up, paying for our tickets, all that. And then somehow he falls backwards off of his stool, and we don't know if he hit his head on the fire extinguisher behind him, but he fell onto the ground. And I look over the counter and I was like, oh my God, I think he's having a seizure. And before I could even turn my head, Zulu, like, I don't know if he like pole vaulted the counter, but he's like, bam, behind the counter and like stabilizing the guy and making sure that he's safe, not hurting himself, anything. And then, we called the ambulance, and by the time they got there, the guy was awake, coherent, not having the seizure anymore. So we sent him to the hospital, and then it was like a day or two later that we all went home. Well, Zulu went out of his way he called the race place. He found out what hospital the guy was in and found out that that guy was doing okay. He had never had a seizure before. Nobody knows why he had it, but that just, the fact that he was just like immediately, his background is saving people. And so the fact that instinct immediately kicked in, and he kept that guy safe and took care of him. Like that just is how Zulu was.
Oh.
And man, I'm so sad that I don't ever get to have one of his big bear hugs again. And I never get to have a moment where I hear that deep belly laugh of his. And I'm grateful that I knew him and I got to meet him and I got to be friends with him. And I'm sad that I'm just flat out sad.
Well, thank you, Dottie. Appreciate that. And thank you, by the way, for sending the pics. One of my favorite was, and I will use that. In fact, I think I'll use that on my on the video I'm going to make tomorrow. Is you guys at the Guidestones, where before they were destroyed. Mm-hmm. How fun a rare shot that was.
Mm-hmm. That was such a great time. And I think I'll have to dig through my photos. I have a picture of you and me and Zulu in that B&B that all of us stayed in, and we were up in like the attic room or whatever. I have a picture of the three of us. I will send that to you as well, just because I think that's the only one that has all three of us in it.
It's got to be safe for work. Don't send us the other ones. It's okay.
I will save the sneaky bedroom photos for just me, Mark.
Did it? Oh, time for you to go, Dottie. Anyway, we'll talk. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Shout out to Zulu. Throat punch those motherfuckers in the face.
Damn right.
Bye. Much love.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, I like what she said, that Zulu was in the business of saving people.
And he, EMT, a lot of people don't know that firefighters, because they're not putting out a lot of fires these days, they're usually the first responders. They are sent out to on ambulance calls. They were the front lines of defense most of the time. So he was used to it. So
makes me love him even more.
Yeah. Let's go down to. We're just gonna go right down the list. We're gonna go to 819, possibly in Iowa. Is that right? You in Iowa?
Yep, 319.
Yeah. So is tonight your first time hearing about it?
No, I was watching last week when Lisbeth was on.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just calling in to show my respects. I know Zulu. I know Mark from New York. I've got your playlist of testimonies. I have that playlist on repeat, and I know there's a couple times where Mark had called in.
Yeah. Yep.
His voice is very, very unique.
Yes, very. There was I never confused him with anybody.
Absolutely not. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was just calling to show my respects. I hope you guys have a great night and much love and keep crushing.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let's go to someone who has not talked to us in a while, and that would be Ginger.
Eric Dubay? No, wait.
Wouldn't that be funny? Eric, hey, well, no. What time is it out in Thailand? I don't think he's even up right.
No, he's in the U.S.
Well,
now.
again, if we can prove it. Yeah, again, he's never going to give it away. Ginger Sugarbush, one of the worst names ever for a guy.
But he's a redhead.
I know.
Good.
He sounds like a Canadian female porn star, and yet here we are.
Yeah.
So, how are you, Ginger?
I'm okay. Just found out about it tonight.
What?
So.
Wait a minute. You and I didn't text or anything? You weren't messaging us? Oh, that was just before. You're right.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are hearing about it for the first
I'm
time
sorry,
right now.
Ginger. I know that you were part of the post thing a lot, and so you got a chance to talk to him even more than I did on a lot of nights.
Oh yeah, I love those after hours.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But yeah. Sorry, now I'm gonna cry.
Sorry.
Love you guys.
All right, I'll put you back on mute,
Yeah,
Ginger.
there.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
It's a rough show. Let's go to Alex out in New York, of all places. Alex.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Well, hanging in there more than the phone audience, that's for sure. Because some of my fears are coming true
Yeah,
that they
man.
didn't know. So,
You know, it was like Zuluone is more like Formula One. That's what I remember the most. I went down to Solar Return with him once, and he's in that police cruiser. And I didn't know anything about how he drives. I knew he was like a fast driver. Okay, whatever. But he's got this little handle that's above the window as in the passenger.
yeah, it's
seat.
called
He
it's
comes
called the
along
oh shit
sometimes.
handle. Yeah, I know it.
Oh shit
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah, I never let go of it. And it was an 8-hour trip. We got there in 5. And I learned on that trip that if you've been in the law enforcement or in the that community, that if your car looks like a cop SUV, then all you have to do if you're driving past, say, another cop's on the side of the road going, say, I don't know, 120 miles an hour in Washington, D.C., all you have to do is lift up your index finger off of the wheel, and that's universal. The cop says that's a cop, even though he wasn't a cop anymore, and we just zipped right past the cops, and he probably did that 20 times on the way to Solar Return. And I got to tell you, man, we took one break, and it was somewhere south of D.C., and when I got out of that police cruiser, which it's not a police cruiser anymore, but it certainly used to be, it felt like I was, those jet legs that you get once you get off of a jet plane and you step on like solid ground. That's where I was on that. So that was my Zulu car experience, so to speak. But anyway, Zulu stories. I don't have many. I'll keep it fast. But a lot of BST time with him over the years. A lot of after show hours with him. Consider him a brother, and got to hang out with him. At several events. I want to say at 3 or 4, and we hung out at Atlantic City too this year, which was really great. But went up to the wake with Shifty Eyes Shady, Weiss, Lucas, Gene Edited, and his wife, and me, and we got to hang out with Linda for a little bit, and we also got to meet Heather, his sister, who I didn't even know, but I remembered she used to crash either his trivia show or BST, one of the two, and I had actually spoken to her on several times, so she was super cool, and she actually recognized us, and that was pretty interesting because like the 6 of us stuck out like sore thumbs,
Of course.
at the funeral. Yeah. So yeah, it was funny. Once we had a little chat with Linda and we hung out with Heather for a little bit. Of course, like it took only about 10 minutes for all of us to sit down in the lobby and start talking flat Earth, and we're kind of talking loud. So like everybody else in there, we're that's firefighters and family. And then the guy that's he's opening the door at the funeral home. He's sitting there listening to us, not computing, and we're sitting there talking about like the latest flat Earth stuff because that's just what happens, especially when Weiss is around. So we're just like, okay, I guess we're going to talk about flat Earth and hang out for a while. But overall, it was great service. We were glad we were able to pop in, and that's it, man. R.I.P. Zuluone. Miss you, brother.
Right, thanks, man. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Alex.
I was gonna mention something about his driving. Oh, you know what? Yeah, and on a side note, yeah, was he an insane driver? Meaning he drove without fear? Yes. But he was really good about not being dangerous, meaning he never, like, even if he had a couple of drinks, it's like, no, I'm not driving. I mean, the fact that I had to drive, I was the designated driver at one of the Flattoberfests in that cruiser was, and he's over, and he's the coherent one and riding shotgun, right? And he's trying to plug in the directions because there are drunk people in back behind us that are barely coherent at all. right? And Zulu's like, he's one of those guys where he would have been an amazing driving instructor. He's like, no, take a left now, right? And it's like, oh, now you're gonna have to do a U-turn. No, it was back there. We got to go back there. And it's like, are we close to your hotel? Yelling in the back, and I just hear this. It's like, did you get any of that? He's like, no, they didn't, but we'll get there. But he never would take really unnecessary risks, which was awesome. And so yeah, driving at night in the rain, him around those guys was awesome.
And did I hear that he was a cop and a firefighter?
I don't know. I don't know. Peanut, can you confirm? I thought he was just part of the firefighting department. I don't know. I didn't remember him telling law enforcement stories. He knew a lot of law enforcement, and he could have absolutely been a cop at one point. But let me see here. I only thought he was part of the firefighting thing. Yeah, firefighting and EMT. Yeah, but again, when you're in those circles, you're tied in with everybody, which is why, and I want to clarify something, and I got him hooked on this. He loved everything uniform based. He loved cops, he loved firefighters, he loved ambulance, he respected all, and he loved military guys, right? Because they're in the same vein. And he loved doing, because we joked about it on various things, and it just stuck with him over the years about using inaccurate military call signs for different things. He would do that all the time, just make up crap, just garble. The average person on the street wouldn't know what he was saying, but guys like Peanut would be like, yeah, you're not saying it right. But because of that, in our circles, if you use too many military call signs in a row, people think, I mean, come on, how many times have I joked about, hitting these couple buttons over here and sending a drone somewhere? People like, is he really is he really a drone pilot? I was like, no, I'm not a drone pilot. Do I look like a drone pilot? No.
People would, and in the past, message me and ask me if you were serious. I'm like, are you serious asking that question?
But I get it. People are twitchy. Again, they are.
Yes, it's because we're in the conspiracy world, of course.
People get jumpy. So phone number to call in, Patricia, is again
848-222-2480.
Okay, I will look at the call board. It's your time. By the way, we've cleared everybody else out. There is still time left, and which gives me plenty of time for my New York trivia, because we're going to end the show. I'm sorry, Alex Lowry. Tonight we are going to end the show with Frank Sinatra's New York. Now,
which was actually Alex's idea on Tinfoil Sombrero. So
yes.
Now, is that going to be allowed?
Yes, I've already done the preview. It is not. It's because this channel is not monetized. It's going to be fine. They're not going to knock it off. I already did a test on my channel. We should be absolutely fine. I'm going to do it full screen because there is no way I'm going to listen to it while people watch me on camera. You don't get that. You're lucky I played my tribute. So, but I got to mention, because DJ sent me the link to both the Frank Sinatra version and the Liza Minnelli version. And I gotta...
As a joke?
The what?
The Liza version as a joke.
Well, no, it's not a joke, and I've got to mention this. Okay, which is why tomorrow, my short version is going to be specifically 60 seconds on New York. People need to know this, okay? Which is, it's like, oh, it's interesting. You sent me Frank's version, you sent me Liza's version. It's funny, there's the only two people I ever hear singing it. You know why? Because Frank had nothing to do with that song at all. It's like a Mandelta effect for me, or a Mandetta effect. That's how I remember it anyway.
Mandingo.
That's the street version, Patricia. That's the Mandingo version. Okay. But what happened? People think that when Sinatra, from the Rat Pack, started his own record label back in 1957, it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna record New York Night. And it's like, no, not at all. He didn't have anything to do with it. His people didn't have anything to do with it. You know who did? This is going to throw you guys for an absolute loop. Martin Scorsese. King of Crime director, Goodfellas, Casino, Taxi Driver, all that stuff. He was in the middle of a multi-picture deal in the 70s, did Taxi Driver, and they're like, well, you got to do more films for us. And he's like, why don't you do a musical? So he did a musical called New York in 1977, completely overshadowed because it was the same year as Star Wars, with Robert De Niro, of course, because he was who was working with Scorsese for basically forever, and Liza Minnelli. This song was made specifically for Liza Minnelli. She helped fine-tune the song. And in fact, I listened for the first time today, the 1977 movie version. You can find it out on YouTube. It hardly has any hits at all, relatively speaking. Why? Because Liza Minnelli is a Broadway show punch, right? She belts them out. It's a good song for Broadway, but it's not great. So you know who picked it up 2 years later? In fact, he didn't even hear it for a whole year. So people were like, in fact, Sinatra was pretty much retired. He was 60 in 1978, right? He was 60. He was thinking about packing it all in. He was depressed. It's like, I got nothing left. His wife gets a hold of something from an agent and says, hey, why don't you do this cover of this New York thing? So he does it in a club, brings the house down, and he's like, holy crap, I'm not retiring. We're doing this, right? And he performs for another 15 years, retires in 95, dies in 98, just 3 years after he retires. And he closes out every freaking performance. He used to do it with, if you know Sinatra at all, with My Way. That was his staple. He closed with My Way. After he did this, it's like, oh, no, we're ending with New York. Because it is a great lounge song. It is and his delivery was perfect. You could sing it at any level of intensity. It doesn't have to be the Liza Minnelli stomp your foot and move your head and do it again. Nothing to crack on Liza. She's an amazing entertainer. Oh no, she's snappy. Again, her pedigree. If anyone forgets, like Liza Minnelli was Judy Garland's daughter, and Judy Garland had pipes on top of it. So yeah, had nothing to do with Sinatra. So the reason why I say this, the only reason I even looked into this, and I know I'm kind of dragging this out a little bit, I will pick up the phone calls, we have time, which is when you sent me that Sinatra clip, which was from Japan, right? When he was playing in Japan in 85, right? It was a live performance, which I'll play for you guys at the end of the show. And he goes, hey, I want to show you guys a new song. It was the first time he was playing that song in Japan. I'm going, new song? In 1985? How is that even remotely possible? Because it was. For them, it was a new song. It was barely, 6 years? In fact, he recorded his first recording was in 79, so 6 years old. How weird is that? So again, the song that New York embraces has been used in countless television shows, countless parodies. They play it at the end of every Yankees home game for years and years and years. Nothing to do with the guy. I don't think he made a dime off of it. He just sung it better than she did. Which is...
And then how did you and Zulu make it your own?
We made it our own. Just kind of I am struggling to remember the first time. It was kind of a running gag where
it's when he was Mark from
right.
New York.
So I was gonna sing. It's like, oh, again. It was so well known. It's like, oh, I'll just sing. Start spreading the news. And he's like, oh yeah, and I'll chime in and do. And so we altered the lyrics ever so slightly. And it was just kind of a fun little thing. Of course, I don't like singing either. And, there's no music. And so it's like, all right, we'll kind of, and he hated singing even more. It was kind of like a dare, guys singing to each other, that sort of thing, where, especially someone like him, it's like, yeah, I'm going to sing, start spreading the news to a New York mobster, and he's going to sing back. He's going to parrot back. And so, it was just turned out to be one of those things, but, the trivia behind it was just fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating, where, again, it wouldn't have had a word. Oh, sorry. Two more quick things. One I'll put in the video, which was De Niro had input on the song of all people, right? And he was it's a terrible movie, by the way. If you ever watch it, New York, it's a terrible musical. Absolutely awful. This is not.
I liked it,
dude. It was at a fine finale. She's great. Liza Minnelli was absolutely in her heyday, absolutely wonderful. I loved her in cliche things like Arthur. The only other thing was, which I thought was amazing, was that they cut it out of the original movie. Who was a consultant on that movie? George Lucas. In fact, he was like, you got to make it a happy ending with a huge musical number. There was like a 12-minute musical. I don't know if you ever watched the re-release, but there's like a 12-minute musical number at the end, which they re-put back in, that they cut. It was awful. Sorry. I know you, of course, would love it.
Well,
Anything.
I sent you both versions just for, shits and giggles. Obviously, Zulu would appreciate the Sinatra version. I was laughing because I learned the song from the Liza version,
Well,
and they're both
let me end with this.
amazing.
Again, it goes out, you give the people what they want, the resonating. Meaning Liza version, the one you sent me, 500,000 hits. The Japan version of his, 32 million hits. You tell me which is playing better. It's just got that ring. Yes, of course you could belt it out, but anyway. So Frank, funny stuff. That's his trademark. All right, who can we pick up towards the end of this? We got time. Oh, we got calls. Okay, let's pick up.
We have a lot of people in the chat, like Mike Flatbird just showed up, Space Time Continuum. Just people I haven't seen for a while. That this show is drawing a lot of people in who didn't know about what happened, and it's kind of, in a way, bringing a lot of people back together, especially with this Antarctica thing happening.
You know what? Let's
for
bring
us
that
to get back together.
Let's bring that up really quick. First off, again, apologize to everybody in chat. We did not know. We did not know until Peanut told us 5 minutes after the show ended, and even if we had known beforehand, it would have been extremely awkward to because again, I wouldn't have said it.
Lisbeth too.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said it without confirmation. I probably shouldn't take away from the event, which is starting today, which is it.
And they're in the air right now, flying.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Lisbeth and Jaron and Austin and Candace Owens, producer, and that other guy that's friends with him. And Will Duffy.
And those other people.
And Dave McKeegan, and of course McToon. The 8 of them are heading down to Antarctica. They're going to be bouncing off South America. And they're going to be spending, I think, 5 days on the ice, looking for the Antarctic sun. And everyone's going to be recording as much as they can. I don't know if they're going to be streaming from there.
So can we, the 3 of us right here, without going off on this forever, because we don't need to, very quickly just say what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Your prediction?
I think it's going to be cloudy, and they're not going to get. It's going to be inconclusive. They're not going to get a 5-day window is really narrow, and they need 24 hours of straight sunny skies in that 5-day window. That's tough to do.
All right, DJ, what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously that's the multi-million-dollar question.
Right.
I think it's interesting that Will talked about how he needs to record the 24/7 moon.
Yes,
so
that was his latest video. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty interesting. Look, if they see it, it doesn't mean that we're back in space. If they don't see it, then it just gives more strength to the flat Earth model. And either way, it's going to get people talking, like Witsit said.
Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. The way that Will Duffy's video today, when he talked about recording the 24-hour moon and being the first person to do it, he really emphasized that this is the final experiment in that video.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I fell asleep during that.
He's not like he had previously been saying that there could be other experiments or he was interested in doing this or that, as he has inferred, that this is it. This is the one. So I think that they just might see it. And I say that because Duffy's incredibly confident. And with that incredible confidence, I tend to see that as being he already knows, as in a very close friend of his went there already, or maybe even he did.
Yeah.
But of course, that doesn't make it into a ball, and doesn't make anything we see NASA or SpaceX do into legitimate experiments and trips into the great beyond.
Yep. Again, we will know. We will know more shortly. They're not going to be there for a few days, you guys. But when they get there, they're going to start streaming. And
I just want everybody, well, almost everybody, to be safe.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I made jokes last week. That was a bad idea. I'm not gonna make any jokes this week because I don't want to jinx anything. My baseball coach taught me that a long time ago. He hit me.
I was just joking with that.
Yeah, he'd hit me with things and be like, "Don't jinx it." And then he'd start chain smoking again.
Yeah.
Let's pick up 219. We're going to go right down the line. 219. What's happening?
Hey, Mark.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Half Tater.
Hey, Half Tater.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, hanging in there.
I want to keep this short.
Okay.
I'm going to keep this short so everybody else can get a chance to talk. I've been listening to you since I found Rob Skiba and Strange World on TFR.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been listening to you guys for years and years, and I've like y'all were saying, Zulu had like a really familiar voice, and listening to him at the end of the show was like, you know, the cherry on top.
Yeah.
So as a tribute, I'll read a quote. Keep your face always to the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. And that is Walt Whitman.
It's good. I like it.
So I just wanted to do that as a tribute to him, and you know, prayers to his family and all that. And shout out to Strange World, Patricia, DJ, Mark, Peanut. Shout out to all the chat, and keep on doing what you're doing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
All right,
it.
thank
You have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Commercial Sound and Video said that that the guys have brought a thermal camera, and that means that clouds and overcast won't matter. So
We'll see about that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And also, somebody else in chat said that even if Will Duffy said he was going to be being one of the first people to record the 24-hour moon, somebody said that other people have recorded the moon there.
Again, before I pick up this call, I gotta stress this one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, and again, I've been watching this for 10 years now with all the different people, and I've talked to so many people on both sides of the fence, which is, whether or not the sun sets or not, you are going to have a really tough time getting the general public to understand it. And again, I knew this from Will Duffy, the last movie made, which was that David Weiss found, which was he wrote his own press release, gave it to a press release generating site, paid the money, and put it out there, and it's still not getting traction. Will Duffy is having a terrible time. In fact, Candace Owens, you would think, by the way, that it would have leaked that Candace Owens' producer going to Antarctica with the Flat Earthers would have generated something. And that's not generating traction on its own. I mean, that by association should put Candace Owens, it's like somebody should have reached out to her for comment. We got nothing yet. So we'll see.
Well, maybe her producer's friend who makes documentaries is going to do something with this that will get media attention. But you know what? No matter what happens, we do know that NASA doesn't do anything, and SpaceX doesn't do anything, and there's a reason why. What is the reason? Things are not what we've been told, and we will keep searching, regardless of what they see there.
Last part you just reminded me, which was, let's not forget the quick story, which I don't know, at least a dozen people sent me, which was SpaceX kicked the can down the road. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, we're not doing Artemis till 2027. It's like, there you go. We knew it was going to happen because, well, that's what you do. You wait, you say, and then within a year or a year and a half, you kick the can. Because people don't get excited at that point. It's like, oh, the can's not within visual range. It's just a date. And it's like, oh, no, we're pushing it off. Why? Oh, testing things, reasons, whatever.
Yeah, that one felt good because I had been telling my Globe friends who know I'm a flat earther, know I'm doing the show, and I was like, just pay attention. Let's see. How much you want to bet they kicked the can down the road? And they're like, no, we're really going. And boom, and it was just crickets. It's like, this sucks. And I'm like, keep paying attention. That's all I can hope for. I don't need you to believe any of this. Just keep paying attention.
That's why.
Stay curious.
That's why I enjoyed making that quick little snippet in one of my Fast Earth things where I showed all the presidents. And it's like, this doesn't bother you that every president since freaking, going back to Carter, they've all said, oh yeah, we're committed to going back to the moon. No one even tries. It's not that you're not even trying to go back to the moon. It's not like you've got astronauts on the pad and it's like, oh, we're going. No.
Oh, but they keep collecting the money.
Yeah.
And that was another thing at my work Christmas party. Of course, something came up conspiracy because, we got RFK moving into the White House.
Right.
And so that started to trigger things and I had to be like, shh. And so I'll make it quick. But I did get someone to Google how much does NASA make a day, and their jaw dropped. Yeah. They had no clue that they were like, I guess it's even up now to like $100 million a day.
Could be. Absolutely.
Wait, one thing Bill Keith Channel says that Current Davis Station dome camera shows a 24-hour sun the past couple of days with clear skies.
Cool. Wonderful. Again, I am not going to lose an ounce of sleep over it. Not one. Not even a little bit.
I can't wait till it's over, to be honest.
Me too. I'm going to pick up Run Boston Bear, who I can't remember the last time he's called on the show. Run Boston Bear, what's happening?
Hello.
Hey, Mark, Patricia, DJ, and chat.
Hey.
What's up?
I just wanted to share that 3 weeks ago, I jumped on NDB's channel. They had a BST 1-year anniversary show, and I hopped on. I was in the car moving around, and I got home, and I was super proud to share that I got a new mic. And it's a Sennheiser profile, just like Riggs uses, and just like Alan from Space Audits uses. And I hopped on, and they're like, oh, RBB's back. And I was chatting away and all proud of its sound quality, and I had the output off, and I was muted, and they had the biggest laugh, and they were just rolling, and I was trying to get it worked out. I got it fixed, and they said, you know what, it happens to anybody that's streaming, and then they showed a lot of love. And I just wanted to mention, me only being 2.5 years into this thing, Zulu was always supportive of new people waking up.
Yeah.
And, it took me a minute to understand that Throat Punches was a, high regard, high on his list for showing love, and understanding his unique quirks and how he communicates and how he always shows up in the chat supporting people really influenced me and impacted me in my own awakening journey to Flat Earth.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So nice to hear that. Amen.
Yeah. And then you guys were talking a little bit about, the final experiment, and I found it a little bit odd that Toon and Duffy and the documentary guy that's a brand new flat earther, and one other, maybe McKeegan, I can't quite remember, all headed out it seemed like a day early, and it was strange to see Whitsitt and Jaron and Mark Herman, Candace's producer. They were just kind of leaving last. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I've been hearing a lot of people, hanging out in space, ether cosmology on Discord and Earth Awakenings, just hearing everybody talk about the buzz and stuff like that. I heard Whitsitt did buy a thermal camera last minute. He got one. He was looking at the Milwaukee, but he went with a different brand. And I wanted to make one correction or one important fact. That image or the video that shows where the guy wanted the thermal camera up at the sky and could see the sun, Whitsitt clarified that was through a light smoke cloud. So if it was actual clouds, I don't think that would work.
There you go.
But the last thing I'll say, land the plane, I've been listening to Joe Hanvey quite a bit, and he's been in the game for a while, and his prediction is that they're going to see it. And I tend to lean towards that as well, especially with how bold, like you guys were saying, they're being. Now, I was expecting the trip wasn't going to happen. I was thinking that it was going to cancel last minute, but Joe referenced, I have it here in my notes, he sent me a note. He said, Job 37:18 tells us the sky is like a cast metal mirror, a bronze mirror that reflects heat like a molten looking glass, depending on which translation you're reading. However, all three translations have a few major details. 1, it's hard at some point. 2, super reflective. 3, it produces or helps generate heat. And this, to the dome tent-like shape described in other areas, you get a dome-shaped mirror crystal. It's often referred to as sapphire as well. Apply crystal-like qualities to the dome, and you will essentially get a kaleidoscope-type effect in the sky above us. When testing the dome-shaped mirror, sorry, I lost my place. When testing a dome-shaped mirror, it causes the luminaries to have an arc and an anti-arc inside the outside of the equatorial line. The crystalline properties create these perfect anti-arc zones all around the edge simultaneously respect to the time zone that it's in. This phenomenon also fits where we are told in Job that God spreads the north over the empty spaces. He's going to work on a video and drop it soon. So if you haven't followed Joe Hanvey on YouTube, it's fantastic. And thanks for letting me share all that. If they do see some kind of luminary doing a full 24-hour movement in the sky, it doesn't mean that we live on a sphere. We know what water does. We know what all the military has measured. I think that the people who are really awake to true Earth, flat Earth, they're not going to be budged at all with whatever kind of hit piece they kind of may try to bring. So much love to everybody in the community that's solid as a rock on what we live on, stationary topographical plane, and I love you all.
Thank you very much.
Hey, that was
That's
great.
a great call. Great
All right,
love,
have a good night.
He's
Hey, thanks for
absolutely
letting me
right.
share.
Right.
Zulu was, I mean, like I said earlier, Zulu welcoming me, just not knowing me, not judging me when I felt just like a unicorn in this community and the other community, and just like, I don't know, but also Run Boston Bears, the same type of guy, just no judgment, gonna just let you, give you a benefit of the doubt, and I really appreciate that from him as well. So great call.
Mhm. Yeah, and I see him around in comment sections on different sorts of channels or in live streams. Just always a great guy. You can just get the vibe of a great guy whenever you see what he's writing in chats.
Let's see who else we can grab. Let's grab 504, and I believe this is Dennis. Dennis, haven't heard from you in a while. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? What's happening?
Good. Talking
Hello.
talking all things Zulu, and I know you've run into him a few times.
Yep. I did want to say, from what you said, from last week, and what you mentioned a couple times on this show and in the email, I want to give a kudos rather to Peanut from what you said. That you found out after the show last week that Zulu passed away while listening to the show.
Right.
And you found out like 5 minutes after it was over.
Right.
From Peanut Gallery.
Right.
So if he found out during the show, and as he said, it was probably better that he didn't inform you during the show.
Right.
So I think taking all that in, I think he handled that like a gentleman and was used, how do you say, a vast amount of discretion. So good man, how he handled that there.
Yeah.
And I did meet Zulu the first time. Actually, I got introduced to him way late at the 2020 Flatoberfest. You were there.
Yep.
But I remember, I think I ran into him probably, but I didn't recognize him at Flat Earth International Conference 2018. I did just want to say, I remember you and he were talking. I know you met him in 2017,
Yeah.
as he said, but I remember the first major conference I went to was the Denver one. And I remember you and he were talking, kind of like the pre-game show and Strange World beforehand. What were you going to do and where were you going to hang out and all beforehand. I just remember that's the first time I became aware of him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't looking for, I don't think I knew what he looked like at the time. I did later though.
Right.
Anyway, last thing I wanted to say was that documentary that I did, the big history of the cosmography throughout the world history. I put it on the Odyssey channel, just a very rough draft version. And I don't advertise or anything, but I do have 2 subscribers, and Zuluone is one.
Oh, that's awesome. Send me the links to those when you get a chance in an email, and I'll take a look.
Will
Okay.
do. Appreciate it.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Thank
You have a good night. See you, man. Let's see. You know what? We got time. Yeah. Let's pick up
848-222-2480 to get in last minute, maybe.
Yes. We're going to pick up 816 first, 480 second. I don't think I picked up for it. Did I already pick up for it? Well, we'll figure it out. 816, how are you doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Did you?
Hello?
Hey, were you just listening or did you want to talk?
I wanted to talk. I haven't met Zulu. I wanted to, but I just never got around to it. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. No worries.
My condolences to everyone in the community who loved them and respected them. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's pick up 480. 480, did we already talk to you already?
That guy has called before. He's a previous caller.
Is he a previous caller?
And he's known as the Gargling Man.
How do you know he's a gargling man?
Well,
oh no, that guy.
Sounds like.
Oh no. Well, part of it was his connection, and we'll talk about the other part.
But he's a previous caller as well.
Yes, he is.
So hello to him, and thanks for calling in.
480, are you there? You're muted.
Yes.
Did we talk to you already?
No.
Did you want to talk about something?
I just wanted to send my condolences to Zulu and his family. I was listening the night that last week on the episode when we were discussing all the final experiment stuff and all that, and I didn't actually find out until probably 4 days later, 3 days later.
Yeah.
I'm fairly new to the Strangelings. I've only been introduced to your podcasts and things like since March of this year, and I found everything like very interesting, and it explains a lot of what I've kind of felt anyways. Like I was raised by generations that were taught, that the earth is flat. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, it wasn't mind blowing,
right.
But it was like, the more I tune in and the more that I pay attention to the episodes when I get a chance, it just makes so much more sense. It just makes so much more sense than the crap that they've tried to indoctrinate in the public education system, and just the lies and the blatant just craziness really of what they're trying to feed us. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a shock when I did find out about Zulu. He was very kind. He was funny. He was very welcoming when I would chime in on the chat the few times I did. He was a great personality, and I've really come to love Strange World. And it just, I feel so much more comfortable in this realm of things than I ever have on the other side. Like, it just didn't make sense. I've flown from one end of the country to the other, and it wasn't bullish at all. It was, it was like, what crap are you feeding? And, I have lived coast to coast, so I've been able to, like, take binoculars and take cameras and check things out, like, 100 miles across the water, check out the islands out there. And so I feel so much more comfortable in this. And I really appreciate the information and the feedback and the opening of mindset, I guess, would be a good term for it. And the way you guys come across with all of it, it's just so much more like nonchalant and not such a taboo type of subject anymore.
Right.
So I really appreciate Patricia and DJ and Mark. He was very kind, and Peanut, like all of you guys, I really appreciate that. And
well, thank you.
I'm here in Arizona, kind of just out of, everybody here thinks we're on a ball,
Well, don't.
So it's a different realm.
The thing about Flat Earth is you don't know who's around you until you take a peek. So if you haven't gotten the app yet, you might want to. I mean, I held out for a while. It's like, how good could this app be? It's really, really good. So check it out if you get.
Yeah, just seeing the other blue dots and realizing those are people just like you.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like it's really mind blowing, actually.
You have people around you everywhere. I mean, granted,
Right.
there's not a lot. We don't do like stickers in the back of cars and T-shirts, and hoodies all the time. But we're out there, and there's a lot of us. So get ready for it. Hey, we gotta go because we gotta.
I know.
Go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
That's fine. You've got the time crunch and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to say I appreciate you taking my call and again, my condolences to all of you that have lost your friend and to his family that have lost a very important part of their life. That's a tough thing to overcome.
Yeah.
So I wish you all peace and many prayers of comfort, and thanks again.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Peanut has one last thing, and we're going to do our closing remarks because we're winding down. Peanut says, Kristen Gallo, what is that in chat? Is Peanut real or a joke? Yeah, just so you guys know, let's clarify really fast. Peanut is a real guy. He's not a split personality or anything like that. He is a silent producer behind the scenes. If you guys notice on the screen, I probably can't see my cursor, but there's a little angry Peanut. What? We're not supposed to talk.
Oh, I was just saying he's not real.
Oh, no, he's not. Oh, funny. It's funny. No, he's not real. Okay, there's this
I
little...
was secretly whispering to the audience, but you called me out.
Oh, well, I'm watching. How can I not look at you?
Why? Look at somebody else.
There's like an angry little Peanut that's smoking at the bottom next to my screen, and that's Peanut Gallery.
But our Peanut isn't really angry.
No.
He's nice, helpful, informative, and without him, this place would fall apart.
Yep. He's the one that told me, like, for example, that my microphone was having problems at the beginning of the show. I apologize for that. He keeps us on track, and we talk quite often. So don't you go anywhere.
And sometimes he has the most witty responses that Mark catches.
Yeah. See,
Right.
I know. No, his jokes. He's got a bunch of dad jokes mixed in with dirty jokes and army jokes. So
And also good information that's pertaining to something that you or any of us might be talking about that he'll just like throw in that only we can see that will help us to get more clarity on an idea. So
yeah.
That's
You guys
important.
complimenting Peanut just angers me. So that's fine. Okay, so before we play the Frank Sinatra from 1985 clip that DJ sent me. Let's see. Hang
Just
on.
play both. We talked about Liza so much.
Zulu always wanted me to get you to say things like Anchorman. Yeah, absolutely. You guys conspired against me, you two. You guys were thick as freaking thieves. It drove me insane. Zulu would be like, get Mark to say something. I'm not Anchorman. I just don't read the teleprompter. Now, I'll look at the teleprompter and I say, no, I'm not going to read that. No. But it is true that Anchorman, there's some truth in those movies. Any closing remarks, Patricia? Anything, last things you want to say about?
just very briefly, I mean, the loss of Mark, we've had many in FE go, Rob Skiba, Bob Nodell, Mac, Flat Earth Fokker, and many others, because I could go on and on and on and on. And, that's not important here. We're really here to talk about Mark today, Zulu One. But through losing him, at this time when the guys are going to Antarctica and the girl, Lisbeth, it's a very weird time in the world right now with Trump in the U.S. becoming president again. And then, well, there's all the things that are weird that are going on. Yeah. And the loss of Mark is a loss for him, his family, and all of us and his other friends too. But it's also a reminder for all of us, no matter what is going on, that we, especially within the Flat Earth, are here for a reason. We don't really even know what that reason is at this point yet. Maybe it will never be revealed to us in life, maybe in death. Maybe Mark knows things we don't know yet. And maybe we will be reunited at some point. But regardless of what happens, this should make our bond as Flat Earthers tighter.
I agree.
So let's look at it that way in a positive light.
DJ?
Yeah, well, amen, Patricia. And Zulu, you left us too soon. Thanks for just always being so bold for Flat Earth and welcoming us and helping the listeners out there who feel alone. You know, Zulu was a staple that just always felt like a nice way to close out the show. We felt at home and cozy. And Zulu, you're one of a kind, man. And thank you for all the love you showed me. And just everyone out there, you're not alone. And thank you for listening tonight and paying tribute to Zulu, and my respects for the family, of course, and for everyone that knew him way better than I did. But I did get to feel that spark. And just Zulu, thank you so much. And you know, to be away from the body, I believe, is to be at home with the Lord. So I hope that's true.
Yep. And you guys, I've probably talked too much tonight. You know my feelings on this. Normally, when I would close the show with him, I would sing the first few bars of New York, New York. But what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to go full screen. You guys won't see us. And I'm going to play the entire song sung by Frank Sinatra in 1985 at his, I think, his first performance in Japan. And then we'll just close out the show. So, good night, everybody.
Good night, Zulu.
Now we have a brand new song for you. Brand new. First time. Kyoto. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes, they are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep and find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap. My small town blues, they have drifted away. I'm gonna make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. In New York, New York, I want to wake up in a city that doesn't sleep and find that I'm number one, top of the list, head of the heap, king of the hill. These are little town blues. They have all melted away. I am about to make a brand new start of it. Back there in old New York, and you better believe it, baby. If I can make it there, you know I'm gonna make it anywhere. It's up to you.